Hey guys, today I'm going to show you a game I played last night against a guy named Charlie at the chess club. And the time controls were 75 minutes each with a 30-second increment on each move. So I was playing the white pieces and I'll take you through the moves. So, yeah, I was thinking about whether to deploy the bishop, maybe fianchetto or something. But I just wanted quick development. So, standard attack the knight, it's defending the pawn. So he defends it. And here, I just want more development, just easy development. So open up the line for the bishop, defend this pawn. Brings the knight out, very normal. And here, I've always got to watch out for this bishop being kicked. So here, and I wanted to keep the bishop. I could trade maybe. But anyway, so if he kicks, I go back here. Then pawn comes down to b5. Bishop comes back to b3. And then the knight can attack the bishop. And I'm going to have to lose the bishop then. However, the trade-off is that his pawn is backwards on a6 and it's a target. So if he takes my bishop, which he would because that's the plan with knight to a5, I take back with my a pawn and my rook's lined up against the weak backward pawn, which would be here. So I play knight to c3. I just want development. I'm not worried about what ifs because I've got a plan if he plays that. I'm not going to make a hole for my bishop just in case and waste time. So he does do that. Okay. And we get the position. So next, I'm like, well, I can't save this piece. I'm going to lose it. So what else can I do? Well, I look at this. I can pin this knight. And if I pin the knight, I find out I've actually got a threat here. If my knight jumps into d5, I'm attacking his knight and, well, it's pinned. It's not a big threat, but I can double his pawns up. So it's just something little for him to think about. So he trades and I get this. And he stops my knight jumping in. So now it's a blocked up position. And I'll show you something before. I wasn't too worried about the pawn kicking my knight before because I could jump into this square and attack this pawn. So now if he kicks my knight, it's actually more of a deal because I have to go backwards. So I just stopped the pawn advancing and stopped these two guys advancing so easily as well. It's blocking the position. One drawback of b4 is the bishop can potentially attack it if he pushes this pawn. Right now it's not a big deal because I get a free pawn too, so this pawn will be undefended. Yeah, so he'd take my doubled pawn and I'd get his central pawn. So he probably doesn't want to do that anyway at the moment. Now he just stops this pin. And here, I really want to defend this pawn ASAP. And I see no other way than to move my c pawn. But to do that, I got to get this knight out the way. So I move it to e2. Planning eventually to go to g3 and f5 with the knight to attack this bishop, and then he'll have to trade his bishop for a knight. So here, his plans are probably to bring the bishop into here to exploit this weakness, which is the knight, and then I don't really want to double my pawns at the moment by taking back. He castles first. And I straight away play c3, just defending this pawn and opening up my queen's line. So he does do this, and here I'm faced with a bit of a tough choice. In the game, I was thinking about just letting him have double pawns on me, and then using the G file. That was a real big consideration. Then I thought about maybe moving this knight to defend my knight so I can move my queen and then take back with the knight. But then my knight goes backwards. It doesn't look so good. I ended up deciding to bring the knight to the square I wanted it to go to anyway. And that means the queen takes back the knight if he takes. So my pawns are nice. Yes, the knight's pinned, but what can he do about it? He could maybe push this pawn, because now I can't take the knight. That doesn't look too bad. At this moment, that looks okay. He kicks my bishop away. And, well, I don't really want to let his bishop out, because this bishop's no good at the moment. So I bring the bishop back. Where to? Think about maybe there. But I'm like, nah, it's garbage. The best square is, this one. E3. So now, well, what am I going to do next? I'm going to kick this bishop. I want this bishop gone, and this knight's stopping him from coming there because I'll just take the bishop. So I want to free my knight up. He brings the knight in there, and this poses a bit of a problem to me because now my plan of kicking this bishop isn't that good, because if I do it, he can take my knight. And, well, first up, I can't take the bishop because he takes my rook next, so knight here, then here. So I'm forced to take back the knight first. And if I move this pawn to attack the bishop, I can only take back with my f pawn. So it's probably not good to bring my pawns away from the center and double them up too. So that doesn't look too attractive to me. So I'm thinking what else to do. And I really want to play h3 without this being a problem. So I decided, let's just take the knight. Takes back, of course. And now I play h3. Now I'm playing in g4. The idea is that his best plan, in my opinion, is to play the break f5 and open up this rook and put pressure on my center. So I want to play g4 next move to free my knight and to have two pawns looking at the f5 square, so the break's very hard. He knows I'm going to do g4 next move, I think, so he just brings it away. And I do it anyway, because of f5. So now, his plan is to advance this pawn to d5. And I predict his next move, because right now the pawn is, it will be taken if he pushes this one. So he defends it, and now he's definitely looking to push d5 next move, okay? He wants to open up this bishop. He's got two bishops on the board. He wants to open up the position. So my idea here is to look at that move and think, well, how can I make that move not as good for him? Well, one thing is it opens up this line, or this diagonal, that the bishop is coming down on, and my bishop is there too. So that's what inspires my next move. Here, I want to take this bishop so my bishop reigns free on this diagonal once he pushes this. And I'm attacking his bishop at the moment. So he moves his bishop back to here. And here I had a tough choice. I want to move the knight in here, but then the bishop can just take it. However, if the bishop takes, then I take back with my g-pawn, and I have an open line against his king. Now, I might be able to defend it, sure, but it's something for me to play with. It's something to do. And I figured here, I don't really have anything else to do. And if I let him play d5, then he's got the initiative, like he's making the threats. He can trade. So I'm going to do it straight away. So I bring my knight in. And I just want to take this bishop, honestly. Because then, if I take his bishop, his breaks are bad. Or his d5 break is bad because I get a nice line for my bishop. So I get good play. Now, here, well, I was thinking his best bet's to take the knight. I hope this is still working. Yeah, good. The computer reckons c5 is a good move. I didn't look at that because he probably wasn't even thinking that either, because all his focus has been on this break. So he actually makes a mistake here and he rushes it. But that's a bad move, because my knight takes, check, queen takes, and then the bishop comes in, and I'm going to win his rook. He thought here for ages to try and make the best out of a bad situation, and he couldn't come up with too much, so he just moved the queen away to this line. Okay, so thought about, I just took the rook. Then the king has to take back because this rook's stuck to this pawn. And now, in this position, it's a rook for a bishop, and I've got to figure out how to slowly win the game. Now, the idea for me is to put pieces on this pawn, because he's got 1 and the queen can defend it. That's 2. I can bring my rook up, I can bring my queen here, and I can bring my other rook there, and I'll have 3 pieces attacking. And it doesn't look like he's in time to bring a 3rd piece to defend. At the same time, I've got to stop his plans. So right now, he's attacking this pawn twice. I'm defending it once. I need my queen elsewhere, so I'm not going to use my queen. I just use my pawn to defend it. He pushes the pawn again. Well, fair enough. And I bring my king up. I bring my king up to add defense to this pawn if he ever trades. I'll show I don't want to trade here, because if I do, this pawn is isolated with no defense, and he can bring his queen into here, attacking my pawn, and this pawn will be here, so he's got another open line. Like, he's got way too much play in that position. So I'm just keeping it nice and solid. Just defend this pawn so I can bring my queen out. He brings his queen here, and I think here his plan is to play c5, which looks like a pretty decent plan, honestly. I think that's alright. I'm preparing to double, so I do it like straight away. I start by moving my first rook, and here I was really surprised he didn't play c5. It just looks like such a natural move. I would probably bring my queen to b3 to defend this pawn again. I guess. That looks pretty logical. Yeah. I don't know why I didn't do that. Instead, he brings the queen here, and, well, he's just looking at this diagonal. And I don't think it's a big deal, honestly. I just bring my queen up a bit. Still keeping an eye on this square so his queen can't come in, and making way for my rook. Now he preemptively defends this pawn twice. And here I missed a chance to actually just win a pawn. I could have traded, takes, and then bring my rook to c1, and I'll have an open file, 2 pieces on this pawn, and he's got no way to defend it again. So that would have been winning straight away, an extra pawn. But I tunnel visioned on this pawn because I was so focused on it the whole time, and I just did this anyway. Next, he brings his king here. Now, I think better would have been to bring the king to e7, so then he can defend this pawn. That seemed good to me. Or even bring the bishop to g8 straight away to make it harder for my queen. Then I'd probably have to move my pawn and like that. But he can bring his king over. I'll probably still win a pawn, but it's better than this move. So I take advantage. I get a check in. Moves his king out here. Now I thought about advancing pawns, but there's nothing immediate because this brings his king into here or back. or not right now back, but bishop first. So I just attack the pawn, and he's gonna lose this pawn. Brings the queen in. Now here, if I take, rook takes, queen takes, then he does bring his queen in here. And next up from that, he might take this with check on my king. He can take this pawn and then take it with a queen. So I'm just like, no. So I offer a queen trade. And of course, if he trades queens, he's just going to lose the pawn next move. So he's going to be down a lot of material, 2 rooks. So he just moves the queen. And now that his queen's doing nothing useful, like there's no threat anymore, now I take. He brings the bishop to attack my queen, so I just move my queen. Now what's he going to do with his rook? Probably the best would be rook to d8, but he goes rook to e8, which is strange because like it's not doing anything there. Like on d8 at least he's threatening to take. Then if my pawn takes, he's got this pawn. So I move my rook to the side. Probably a better move was to just bring my rook up and attack this rook. And if he doesn't trade, I'm gonna win his bishop. So he's got to trade. This move is okay too because I'm trying to bring my pieces in to attack this c pawn, the new weakness. Now he finally does rook to d8. And now, like, I can't be bothered figuring out when the queen comes in, blah blah, because he's stopping my plan of queen to a6, takes, queen here check with the rook backing up, blah blah. I don't want that, so I just defend the pawn. Now this threat's coming. Brings his bishop in, maybe to go there. My queen comes. My queen comes anyway. I notice if the bishop comes now, I'm going to bring my queen up here to a8. Still attacking this pawn twice. And now, how can he defend the pawn? If he brings his bishop to here, I'll take the rook because it's in the way of the queen. And what else? I think that pawn's just a goner if he attacks my queen. So he takes. And here I had to have a bit of a look. I had to see, should I just trade back and keep it simple? Or I notice now, if I take here, I'm threatening the queen. And I had to calculate a little bit and see if he has any threats. So this is what I was picturing in my head. Rook takes, queen takes b4, and then pawn takes. And this is what happened in game, so I'll just show you to make it easy for you. Oh, that wasn't what I played. I played rook takes. Then he did take the queen. Then I played pawn takes. And here I just did that. Like, what can you do? This pawn's defended. The check's no good because the rook blocks and then the bishop is going to get taken. So you got to move your queen away. And I'm going to take this bishop anyway. He does do the check. Does this. Whatever. Take the bishop. He brings his queen over. And, well, he's got a couple of checks. I could probably take the pawn, honestly. But I just wanted to keep the position nice. Just block with the queen if the queen checks. Now he brings his rook over. And here I had a bit of a think. He wants to bring his rook down to a1. And then these two pieces are going to have a check-in spree on the first rank. And like, I don't want any of that. Like, nothing for him. So I bring the queen down to here, just backing up my king. If I was him, I would have taken the pawn here. He brings his rook down, and already, because I played this, there's no threat. So I just push my pawn up. Now the pawn's defended, and what's he gonna do? He brings his rook to g1, and his threat is to bring the rook up to g2 and win my queen because it's pinned to my king. So I just move my king up. If he checks, my rook blocks. So he attacks my pawn, and I could defend, but I'm like, well, I'll take your pawn then if you take mine. He just defends it, and now that everything's nice and solid, now I start pushing. I want to get these pawns rolling. I go to advantage here. He's going to take this. Maybe I could defend this. Defend the pawn. Or even bring the king here possibly. Looks okay. Here, I just take this. And already this move, he was short on time. He had like 30 seconds on increments. So he was rushing and I just pushed him. But this actually was a mistake, this move. Because he can force a draw straight away. He checks. Now I go back to king f4. The block, he can keep checking. Now here he missed the draw. The draw is like this. The queen takes the pawn with check. King has to go back here. Queen comes back to check. And my only other square is down here. Then he checks here. And now, if I don't want to draw, I gotta move my rook up. And then, I lose my queen. And my rook afterwards. So that's the draw he missed. Well, he did take this and I moved. And then he did this to pin the pawn. So now, it's just easy. I just brought my rook in to block the queen's line, so this is no good anymore. Brought his king away and I just munched the pawn. He takes, and then I brought my queen here, threatening this pawn, and at this point he ran out of time. It was game over. So that's that.